Southcrampton. The lamp is just one example around here of the hard-bitten existence that's endured. The smiling party, the laugh-a-minute disco. Like most pubs dotted around this area, it looks like a disused Salvation Army unit from the outside, and if you have the pleasure of going in, you will be greeted by murderers and their offspring as they order weak lager from chipped gold-flecked pumps against a background of gloss walls that shine like human skin when it's had too much greasy food. Drinking in the lamp is like reaching into a pocket full of wet tobacco mixed in with razor blades. You scream in unfathomable pain because in your mind you are chained to a cold wet bed that is nailed to a cold floor in a cold room with no curtains. This is the land that time fucked off, where humans are hardened like kamikaze pilots and by nothing in particular either. Perhaps the curriculum at any one of the 4 academies in the area stamped on the vision of all the young it kicked out in year 5. A repeated process, if you like, year by year, a kind of sociological mincer throwing out its strands of fat and meat into the wincing horror of the day, and on one of these slashing directionless strands of cheap mince was called Mark John. Oh shit, sorry, I'm going to have to start again. Yeah, okay. This is the land that time fucked off, where humans are hardened like kamikaze pilots and by nothing in particular either. Perhaps the curriculum at any one of the 4 academies in the area stamped on the vision of all the young it kicked out in year 5. A repeated process, if you like, year by year, a kind of sociological mincer throwing out its strands of fat and meat into the wincing horror of the day. And one of these slashing, directionless strands of cheap mince was called Mark John, to name but one. Mark was a builder. He lifted weights after work every day and he lived with his mum, although he spent most of his time at his girlfriend Carla's place. Carla was a stripper, a veteran almost, at the ripe old age of 28, a strong-willed, secretive woman whose vocation was arguably an exercise in self-harming rather than the tired empowerment story she'd wheel out when needed. It usually worked, though, because the company she kept didn't exactly reach for the wanted heights of critical thinking because, well, arguably, in the eyes of popular society, they were the much talked about underclass that filled the columns of the liberal broadsheets, the forgotten shadows that hung in daylight. This area they called home was a tram stop for the aspiring hordes that busied the city. It was a flat featureless bulk, the sliced white loaf of modern living. Even the cemetery was partly boarded up, quietly vulgar, terrifying to the eyes of the metro-tiled middle classes who would run in fear of its tired fashions and unrelenting cloth-bitten obscurity. Are you round later? Carla was trying to navigate the wet washing from the machine up onto the worktop, whilst clasping a phone between a shoulder bone and left ear. Yeah, I'll pop round about 8. You going to be ready? The voice on the other end said. Mark's voice. Yes, my duck, don't you worry. You're going to grease me first? No. Pause. See you later then. Carla put the phone on the kitchen top and carried the washing through to the lounge where Bonner and Carla's mate Lisa were fumbling under the blanket that lay over both of them and the sofa. My turn, Carla said, dodging the week-old rubbish that practically covered the lounge carpet. I'd fuck you, no prob. You look sexy with all that washing in your hand. Bonner sprang out from under the cover. Listen. Lisa, pinned under the sheet by Bonner, bellowed. He's a dirty cunt, isn't he? Lol, he fucking wishes, lol. Carla practically threw her clean washing onto the rusted tops of the 4 radiators that were placed around the lounge as Lisa and Bonner continued to fumble, giggle and occasionally scream at each other under the blanket. Bonner or Boner, take your pick, sold coke and dated Lisa. He was an ugly bastard with a shaven head that revealed a skull dented like a potato, the type of human being that made you feel no remorse for the impending extinction our dear race awaits. His interest was solely invested in himself. Any flair exhibited was mainly the cocaine installing a false confidence in the cunt. Boner did love Lisa, but in the world of dancing these emotions didn't matter. They weren't part of the work ethic, and besides, Lisa felt cornered by Boner. He had little other than cocaine to offer her. She fucked whom she wanted to at work. He wouldn't find out. Once she waved goodbye to him after getting out of his car to go into work, it was like stepping into another world, and she would operate in accordance with that new world. Carla too, fuck it, most of the girls did, because this lifestyle gave you nothing you could hold on to, and coupled with the constant intake of drugs and alcohol, you just fucking went for it anyway. They worked at Club 3000, a small lap dancing bar at the foot of Denton Road, along an historic high street just outside of the city centre that boasted a large multicultural community, Asian, African and more recently a Polish presence too. Club 3000 was a shithole, a makeshift porn studio almost, and it broke all the rules. Above the club was a purpose-built apartment for the girls. It housed whoever was on shift at the club and also acted as a go-between for the more permanent dancers. Carla and Lisa were full-timers in effect, and the place to them was like a second home. But since Boner had been seeing Lisa, it had become increasingly clear that he liked to outstay his welcome most days, and his fucking coke wasn't enough to overlook that. Nothing was. Mark would visit every now and then, but would insist Carla got her stuff together to head back to her place. The girls liked that in him. Mark hated the shithole. He hated the fucking club too, and that cunt that ran it, Fat Steve, he didn't like his attitude towards the girls, his little fuck parties after work. He didn't like the idea that Carla was in on it either. He didn't want that fat cunt shagging his missus, but knew full well that if the night were right, she'd pop off no issue. Mark hated her going to the ice hockey matches every Wednesday too, because he'd heard no good came from these nights. Stories of orgies in the tub back at the 3000 flat with some of the team. Mark fucking hated it. And you knew that if he let himself, then he would surely go mad with paranoia. The strip world got you like that, but at the same time it pulled you in. It gave you what you wanted, and you gambled on its vast pleasure, potentially turning into the prospect of absolute mind-fuckery hell. Lisa flicked the TV on. Are you fucking off then? Me and Carl want to eat and get ready for work. Boner pulled at his boxer shorts slightly on his return from the loo. Can I stay here? Fuck all happening later. And Steve won't be in later, will he? It's only Tuesday, innit? Fuck off, Bone. Come on. I'm at work. And afterwards, I just want to chill. Plus, I know what you like. You'll just be racking them up and I'll come in pissed after work and that'll be it. No fucking kip at all. Carla passed through on her way to the bathroom. You need to fuck off, Bone, mate. We want an early night tonight. Work at 5, done by 7:30, then home. Seriously, mate. My head can't handle another school night session. Fuck that. Boner squirmed at the thought of not getting his tiny-minded drug deal away. You don't have to fucking take it, do you? And anyway, it's not like you fucking pay for it, is it? The girls hung in silence as Boner struggled with defeat, then accepted its conclusion. You wankers. He made a masturbating gesture at them both and with a wry smirk collected his fags and keys and left. Later, I'll buzz you later and that. Fuck off, Lisa thought. Mark stared at the man's shiny face in the Army and Navy store, marvelling at the large yellow spot that seemed to be swimming in a river full of face sweat between the man's left nostril and his black-headed infested cheek. Have you got a ski mask with just eye holes and a mouth hole, mate, in black? The man shifted out towards the back of the shop and Mark wondered why they didn't have such an item on show. I mean, ski masks, you know, they're pretty much standard stock items in a fucking place like this. 12 quid, mate. You off shooting up a bank? Mark genuinely barked out a loud laugh. Do I look like I'm skint, mate? He said as he stood there in his ill-fitting work clothes. The two of them managed to squeeze out another laugh, and with that Mark paid and left. He headed down to the gym and whilst navigating the busy 5 o'clock traffic thought about how best to get down the alley later without being seen. Last week next door clocked him and that was just no good. Not in the get-up he had on. This needed to count tonight because tonight was a bit of a step up and nobody was going to burst his fucking bubble. Lisa switched from the guy's lap to raising her left leg and placing it on the seat next to him. She glided her left arm down the inside of her left thigh whilst he looked on. Carla stood inches away, slowly undressing herself for him. He paid for two and kept pulling out a roll of 50s every time the dance finished. They were transfixed on the loot and he knew it. What's on offer then? The man smirked and motioned to stroke Carla's behind. No touching, you know the rules. This is the fucking rules, innit? The bloke pulled out his wad of notes and bounced them on his lap. 500 up front and another 500 when I meet you at the hotel, which is across the road. The Holiday Inn on the corner. Carla casually dropped it in as she stretched herself over him while stroking Lisa's stomach, as she had by now sat herself closely to the man. Fuck off, seriously. 500, mate, up front, the rest on arrival, and you get to spend the night with me. What about two of you? Carla nodded at Lisa. Are you free later? After casing the floor for ass mum, Lisa stroked the guy's balls. Same fee up front, same rules apply. The bloke ripped £1,000 from his bundle and handed it to both of them. Carla passed him her mobile number, and with that, he went to the bar. I'll see you at the hotel then, yeah? Or outside here? We'll meet you at the hotel. We're too risky to walk off with you outside work. You ain't fucking me about, are you? Don't be daft. Carla passed off to Lisa, and as he vanished, they ordered drinks and looked for the next client. That fucking cunt. Lisa didn't look so confident. Thing is, he looked like a gangster, Carl. He could come back. Carla wiggled her lip and took a hard slug from the gin she'd just bought. Fuck him, so what? His word against mine. He looks soft inside anyway. Fuck the cunt. Even hard men don't want the wardrobe shaking too much. You won't come back. What time are we off anyway? I don't know, another half hour. Did you get any whiff? Yeah, Steve sorted me. I couldn't wangle it through my mate. If she contacted Boner, he would have known we were up to something. Steve sorted me an eighth for a ton too. Good stuff as well. Do you want one now? No, afterwards, mate. I'll be fucking licking you out otherwise. Mark pulled onto Carla's street around 8, and as instructed, he turned the lights off, taking the car down to about 5 miles an hour, if that. He crept along Sadler Road until he hit number 61A, Carla's place. It was dark. The street lights shone, but if you went halfway between one, the darkness soon crept back in. Mark parked between the lights, keeping the key in the ignition so as to keep warm. He then got out the car and got into the back seat. The windows were tinted, which made him virtually invisible as he pulled his top off and then his socks and shoes, keeping his boxers and jeans on. He reached for the ski mask and placed it beside him. He then placed a CD on his lap and pulled out a gram of coke from the passenger door pocket. He slid a large man from the wrap with his credit card onto the disc, flattened it, then regrouped it into a thick line, which he hoovered up his left nostril with a rolled £5 note. He placed all the items back into their rightful places and sat for a moment, tensing his stomach muscles, sniffing the last bits of coke clinging to the inside of his inner nostrils and cavity, tensing his stomach some more, taking photos of himself with his phone, and as the coke hit him, he began to feel turned on. This coke was good. Boner wasn't such a useless cunt after all, although he liked to ask questions about Carla's whereabouts a bit too much, which Myth Mark, nosy cunt. Mark looked around before opening the door, and after leaning over to the driver's seat to pull out his keys, cutting the car dead, he got out and walked into the garden of 61A, and as he walked down the passageway, he pulled the mask on and ignored the intense cold that wrapped around his bare chest and feet, and this time his feet trod carefully in case of any broken glass. He didn't want to repeat the last time he did this. It fucked him up for a good month. He didn't like going to work with stitches in the bottom of his foot. That was not an episode he wanted to replay. Mark found the back kitchen window open slightly and pulled himself through after opening it to its full capacity. He dragged himself over the sink units. No lights were on, so he motioned himself slowly until his full body was inside the house. He threw his legs around and quietly stood on the kitchen floor and then walked from the kitchen into the hallway and towards the foot of the stairs. As he walked up the stairs, he could see nothing. It was pitch black, but he knew the way. The bedroom door partly shone from the reflection of the streetlight as he walked in and stood very still. The silence was almost deafening. He took his jeans and boxers down to the top of his knees and pulled himself onto the bed. Lisa punched him first hard as she grabbed Carla's waist and pulled her backside over to his middle. Fucking cunt. You fucking cunt. Lisa hit him again as he continued to pull Carla near and then slapped Lisa on the face in return, pulling her close to by the back of her neck.